Welcome to the U.S. Constitution Series, Session 1, Article 1, the Legislative Branch. This video will cover the following information: structure of the legislative branch, qualifications of members, powers of each House and Congress as a whole, and powers denied to Congress and to the states. In order to create the Constitution, delegates at the Philadelphia Convention, also known as the Framers, used the art of compromise to create the new law of the land. Over a 4-month period, many compromises were made. Several of those compromises dealt specifically with the legislative branch. The Framers decided to create a bicameral Congress that included a House of Representatives and a Senate. The House was to represent individual citizens, and the Senate was to represent the states. In order to accomplish this, members of the House were directly elected by popular vote, and members of the Senate were chosen by state legislatures. Representation in each House was also a compromise. The House of Representatives would be based on population of the state, and the Senate would be based on equal representation. Each state would receive 2 senators. The House of Representatives would serve 2-year terms, and their seats would be reapportioned every 10 years after the census, while senators would hold a 6-year term with only 1/3 of the seats up for election every 2 years. The general election date was set to be the Tuesday after the first Monday in November of every even-numbered year. Once the general structure of the legislative branch was completed, the Framers laid out the general qualifications for each House. Members of the House of Representatives would have to be 25 years old, a U.S. citizen for 7 years, and a citizen of the state that they would represent. Members of the Senate would have to be 30 years old, a U.S. citizen for 9 years, and a citizen of the state they would represent. Today in Congress, there are 435 members of the House of Representatives and 100 members of the Senate. The presiding officer of the House is the Speaker of the House. This person is chosen by the majority party of the House and becomes the spokesperson for the majority party. The presiding officer of the Senate is the Vice President. His role is to break tie votes. When he is not present, the second presiding officer of the Senate is the President pro tempore, who is chosen by the majority party of the Senate. Each House of Congress must have a quorum: 215 members in the House and 51 members in the Senate, which is the minimum amount present to carry out business. Congressmen work in committee the majority of their time to create law. Each member of Congress is assigned to at least 2 committees, and each House has the power to create their own rules and discipline members as necessary. The impeachment process is used to remove elected or appointed government officials from office. Both houses of Congress are a part of the impeachment process. The House of Representatives is responsible for bringing the charges to impeach and against an official after they investigate. The Senate is responsible for the trial of impeachment cases. The Vice President presides over the hearing unless the President is on trial, and then it is deferred to the Chief Justice. In order to convict a person in an impeachment case, 2/3 of the Senate must vote to remove that individual from office. Each House of Congress works in committee on bills that may become a law. This process could take days, weeks, or months. The last step in this process is to send the bill to the President. The President has 4 options once he receives the bill. First, he can sign it. Second, veto it, but it can be overridden by 2/3 vote in both houses. Third, let it ride, which allows the bill to sit on his desk for 10 days while Congress is in session and it automatically becomes law. Or fourth, a pocket veto, which allows the bill to sit on his desk for 10 days, but Congress adjourns during that time and the bill simply dies. The main reason for the Philadelphia Convention was to fix the Articles of Confederation. Under the Articles, the legislative branch had limited power. With the creation of the Constitution, under Article 1, Section 8, Congress was given express powers in the following areas: to levy and collect taxes, borrow money, regulate foreign and interstate trade, determine immigration policies, regulate bankruptcies, establish and require the use of uniform gauges of time, distance, weight, and volume, establish counterfeiting laws, establish post offices, transportation and delivery of mail, provide copyrights and patents, create lower federal courts, define acts against the U.S. as federal crimes, to declare war, to provide for and maintain the nation's armed forces, to make rules and regulations for the armed forces, to provide for the organizing, arming, and discipline of the state militias, to buy or receive land from the states for government purposes, and finally to make all laws necessary and proper to carry out all powers delegated to it by the Constitution. In order to establish separation of power between the two houses, each house was given specific powers. The House of Representatives has the power of the purse and the ability to bring impeachment charges. Also, all revenue bills must start in the House. The Senate has the power to try impeachment cases, approve all presidential appointments, and approve treaties negotiated by the President through their advice and consent with 2/3 vote. The original Constitution, Articles 1 through 7, included powers denied to Congress to protect individual freedom. Congress could not deny a writ of habeas corpus, create a bill of attainder or ex post facto law, create unequal federal taxes, collect duties on exported goods from individual states, spend any money unless it was for government purposes, or give titles of nobility. Under the Articles of Confederation, states controlled most of the national power. In Article 1, it states that the following powers are denied to the states. States cannot make treaties. They cannot issue their own currency. States cannot tax imports or exports without the permission of Congress. And states cannot tax ships, keep an army or a navy, or engage in war. Article 1 of the Constitution lays the foundation for a strong national legislative branch. In Session 1, we have covered the structure of the legislative branch, qualifications of its members, powers of each House and Congress as a whole, and powers denied to Congress and to the states. After completing the video and taking notes, go to Quizlet to help review the information. There will be a formative quiz tomorrow in class to check your knowledge over Article 1, the legislative branch.